Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Yesterday there was a very interesting article in the Star newspaper and I promised to talk about it. I want to do that right now because that article revealed a lot of things. And having gone through that article, I'm 100% convinced that that article was actually planted by the NIS. And the question is, why would NIS plant that article in the Star newspaper? I'm 100% convinced that the NIS did their work, submitted their report, and maybe they advised the president. But the president was not acting. Because let's agree that as at now, William Ruto, as the president of the Republic of Kenya, has all the details of what happened from the day Albert Ojwang was picked from home until the day he was taken to the morgue. William Ruto has those information because the NIS has provided him with those information. And maybe the NIS advised him to fire Langat, and he's not doing that, and that's why they planted that story to actually get out those information. Let me just go through that story because as we speak, IPOA issued some statement. First of all, let me just take you through the statement which IPOA released just a few hours ago. I just want to go to the conclusion of IPOA regarding the investigations. Key investigations finding thus far, this is what IPOA is saying, that the deceased died while in custody at the Central Police cells. That is the first key finding. Number two, they're also saying here that the CCTV system located at OCS office had been interfered with. That's important. And they're also saying here that the postmortem conducted on 10th revealed the cause of death. And of course, from the findings, this guy was eliminated. Remember, as we speak, 2 individuals have been arrested. James Makwiny, who was arrested yesterday, and according to IPOA, he was the guy who hid the key to the cells. And some WhatsApp messages from Central Police Station's WhatsApp group has also emerged, and they are saying that Makwiny was actually not on duty when all this happened. And the OCS has also been arrested. He was arrested today in Eldoret. Of course, being the head of the station, he must answer some questions. But nothing has happened to Langat. Remember, something very interesting also happened. When Albert Ojwang's father went to the station, of course he went to the OCS, and the OCS took him, the initial statement, the OCS took him to the OCPD. And it's actually the OCPD who told him that the son had passed on. And according to his statement on that particular day, he was very clear that he was able to identify 2 officers who went to his home. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to get into all those for now. I just want us to go through this particular article because this article is revealing a lot. Let us just go verbatim. It says, secret night of Albert Ojwang tortured into coma in Karura Forest. Yeah, this article is saying Albert Ojwang was actually tortured in Karura Forest. Remember, this guy was picked from Homa Bay, taken to Central Police Station. He died in Central Police Station. The question is, at what point was this torture took place? Let me just read this article. Albert Ojwang, the father of a young family, beloved high school teacher, and outspoken social media influencer, was tortured inside Karura Forest before he was taken unconscious to Central Police Station where he died. Credible sources have revealed to the Star. Are you getting that point? That this gentleman was actually taken to Karura. He was tortured there into a coma. Then when these guys realized, they then took him back to police station. The article is proceeding here. Contrary to the conflicting accounts by police of what transpired, a clear picture has emerged of a carefully planned secret operation involving powerful figures within the security establishment. You get that? Because the police were giving very many accounts. But the author of this article is now very clear that those are conflicting. This is what happened. Let us proceed. It says here, sources close to the ongoing investigations between 9:35 p.m. and 1:19 a.m. The time of Ojwang's death as recorded in the occurrence book, he was removed from his cell and taken to Karura Forest. You get that? They are saying here, and they're very specific on the time, that between 9:35 p.m. to 1:39 a.m., between that time, this gentleman was removed from the cells, taken to Karura, and that's when these things happened. That's very important. I've gone through those WhatsApp discussions which were leaked from the Central Police Station. The account is similar to this. And it says here, the truth is, Ojwang was in good condition when booked, but he was moved later that night, tortured, and returned nearly lifeless. A source with a familiar case spoke. You get that? He was moved. And the president, as we speak, is well aware. And it proceeds here. This is something which we witnessed live. IPOA Deputy Chairperson Anne Wanjiku confirmed before the Senate that the CCTV system at Central Police Station, especially near the cell holding Ojwang, was interfered with. Just listen to her revealing this during the grilling.
The key findings: 1, that the CCTV systems located at OCS office had been interfered with. Number 2, that the post-mortem conducted on 10th June 2025 revealed the cause of death as head injury due to blunt force trauma, neck compression, and multiple subcutaneous bruises all over the body. This, Honorable Speaker, the autopsy report and our preliminary investigation rule out the theory of suicide.
Now, let me also read for you this interesting part. According to multiple sources, a private vehicle was used to ferry Ojwang from the station to Karura Forest. This was after the DCI vehicle that had transported him from his home in Homa Bay to Nairobi was discharged. Are you getting the point? So, probably that explains why the CCTVs were interfered with. And sadly, the person who interfered with the CCTV was only paid 3,000 Kenyan shillings. But if you look at it, it makes sense for me and it makes sense to me because when Ojwang was brought to Nairobi, he spoke to so many people and he was still okay. So which means these operations took place at that night. And let me just proceed. And it says here, this guy is now being quoted. The truth is that Ojwang was delivered to Central Police Station by the officers who arrested him while in good condition and booked. But he was again moved out at night to a forest along Kiambu Road where he was tortured. Inside the forest, he was allegedly beaten, unconscious, kicked, punched, and assaulted while handcuffed by a group of officers, including a senior police figure and his driver. So a senior police officer and the driver were there. So probably the moment this guy was delivered at the Central Police Station, this senior officer, and most people are actually mentioning the name. I don't want to mention the name. Of course, you know the name. If you would like, you can post the name in the comment section. So this senior officer went there. And they went there with the driver. He's the guy who ordered for the arrest of this guy. probably wanted to confirm, okay, wewe ndio umeandika hizi vitu. Maybe they wanted some bit of information. And the truth is, this guy did not have the information. He didn't know. This guy just bumped onto those headlines, which were generated from I don't know who. And he was like, okay, let me share this story. So he didn't know the source, but he was being forced. So he was beaten into submission, which he could not. Yeah? So this guy was sema, amekaa hapo, huyu jamaa anapigwa. Mpaka by the time they realized the guy was unconscious, that's when they said, okay, wacha tumrudishe. Let us proceed here. When Ojwang slipped into a coma, his assailant reportedly panicked. They bundled him back into the private vehicle and returned him to Central Police Station just after 1 a.m. The station's officers allegedly objected to taking a bleeding, unresponsive man into custody, but were overruled. An order came from above to book him. And that's why the officers at the Central Police Stations are going to stick and are going to save people like Makwiny and of course Talam, because this one here is way beyond them. And it proceed. Ojwang was placed in a solitary cell. Petty subject, Ojwang was placed in a solitary cell. Petty suspects were reportedly released that night to make space. The DCI vehicle used to bring him from Homa Bay was dismissed. The mission, it seems, was done. You get? So, very interesting article there. Seemingly, one of the guys who was part of this mission is giving account of what transpired. At 1:39 a.m., Ojwang's death was officially recorded under OB number. Specific number is there. On Wednesday, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja said officers wanted to know who killed Ojwang and why, and called on IPOA to conduct speedy investigations. Ladies and gentlemen, from that article, it is clear that this was a well-scripted operation, but it backfired. And I want to assure you that the ghost of Ojwang will definitely haunt, I can assure you, will definitely haunt William Ruto and broad-based government until 2027. Because it seems that blood of Ojwang is not resting in peace. Till next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.